Okay, and we are streaming. So my name is Delia Codes, and this is my Node.js second capstone project in Thinkful web development. It encompasses me learning about state management, TDD, and how to work with Node. So I'm streaming the project, warts and all. There's a lot going on there. Oh, and that's really distracting. Live EDU just it reads off new comments. Okay, I need to turn that off. Hold on 1 second. Okay, it's probably going to read all of the comments, so I'm just going to have to deal with it for just a second. Okay, I'm going to close the chat because I'm not going to deal with that. Anyway, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, so this is me in the middle of the project. The project is called Meal Planner. And so what we're trying to do is we're trying to build an app that will kind of help you plan your meals and construct your grocery shopping lists. The business logic isn't like super like set. It's just kind of like a template for me to like learn a little bit more. So with that, let's get started, I guess. All right, I'm gonna share my screen, and then we'll try to call up the chat again. Whoa, sorry about that. Okay, welcome. All right. So hopefully I don't have too many dropped frames. I'm kind of concerned about that, actually. Because if you see that drop frame rate, it's like 32% supposedly, which sounds like a lot. I probably should close out some of my tabs, or at least close out like a few. We'll close out that, we'll close out that, we'll close out that. Keep that one. Close out this. Just cheat sheets, etc. Okay, so currently this is what the app looks like. What we want to do is we want to have it display in here when we submit. So what we need to do is we need to use this state. What we need to do is we need to create I roughed it out a little bit. So we need to create a add to state function, and then we need to create a send meal to API function. The idea is that so what it's going to do is it's going to add the state. It's going to add it to store. And then from there, it's going to put, and then somewhere in here, it's going to push the send meal to API. Well, really, it's send meal to database. So we should probably change that name. Actually, let's do DB API. And then let's copy this name and change it in the two other places. And there's probably an easier way to do that, but I'm not going to worry about it too much. I roughed it out while you weren't looking after my mentor session where we went over this and how to do this. So let's save this. Let's save this, and I think we're good. And so forgive me if I cough today. Apparently I'm coughing again, which is kind of an annoyance. We're going to tell ESLint to go away here. We're just going to be like, no, you can go. Wait, also, okay, so a couple things happened. So we added a .join here so that, excuse me, when it maps here, it hopefully creates some sort of like space in between. And I think that's what a space looks like, but it's not a huge space. So I can't completely tell, but it looks like a space. As opposed to hard coding it, which would be highly annoying, which is what I did when I first created it. Also, I made I haven't done jQuery in a while mistake, which I will freely admit to you. And hopefully eventually I'll get to the point where either I'm not making those mistakes or I'm not using jQuery enough to make those. I'm not using jQuery and I kind of don't care. Okay, so this is currently tied to the form. It was tied to the submit button. So when the submit button was pressed, it was submitting, but it wasn't doing anything because it was refreshing. Because according to the documentation, it was supposed to be doing this. It's supposed to be tied to the form and not the actual button itself. And because submit is like on-click submit, it's tied to the submit thing in the form. And I just didn't remember. And like, I could have done a .click instead, but I chose to go with the form. And hopefully, currently we don't have any other forms, so I'm gonna leave it as form, and then later on we'll change it if need be. And I think that's it in terms of changes that you've seen. I'll clean that up later. Let's delete these lines. And let's save. Adding meal to DB is assigned a value you never use. You can go away. Okay, let's save that. And let's commit. Renamed API database function. Also, I guess, is important is that we got our test working. Let's do npm -- watch, though it would help if I actually put the thing that I'm supposed to put in, and that's test. Okay. Okay. All my tests pass is the important thing to note. Okay. So, and currently I have a test for each of these things. So let's paste this here. And okay, there we go. All of the tests pass. Yay! And it's not just about passing tests, of course. It's also about like having the code working. Thankfully, the code does work. Okay, so let's commit this really quick. Changing function name in test. We've got it committed. Okay. And notice I put apple result and berry result, and that's just me randomly naming things. I use duck here. I'm not sure. I honestly am not sure whether I should name something different or what, but that's kind of where I'm at. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to go through this code here. And ooh. And okay, so the idea is that it's a var state, and which is a to-dos array. It's an object that contains an array. And the idea is that if it's adding, you create an add to do. So I'm a little confused. Maybe I should start reading at the bottom. Okay. So here are the tests. And mind you, like, this is me reading this code for the first time, so I mean, I feel like, well, first, like, reading the actual code, I've watched some of this, like, be created. And I've watched, well, I guess all of it, I presume. But I feel like I know. I've seen it, but I don't necessarily know it very well. Okay, so this add to do handler, I don't think is anything we need to worry about right now. Because it looks like it gets the add text value and then modifies the state using add to do. And then it renders. Okay. So let's look at the add to do. So it takes in 3 inputs: state to change, name, and index. Interesting. Okay. I wonder what the name is. Okay, so it takes in state to change, and then it performs some function, and then returns it. Well, it performs an operation on the array. Okay, so it splices it between 0 and index and the to-do. That's actually pretty clever. If index equals undefined, index equals 0. And then to-do equals text, name, and then... Okay, so text, name comes from value passed in. Okay, that's actually pretty simple. And notice how it's like an ideal data structure, right? In terms of this. It's like some sort of ideal, like, thing. Okay, so this complete is changing the completed value in the to-do. Okay, so the basic structure is this. Let's put this to the left and then do my code to the right. let's get rid of this. Let's do this. Okay, so the basic thing is this. It takes in state. Okay, I want to rename it. So state to change is pretty obvious. And I like that name, but it's not. I want to name it to make it my own. So I would say current state. And it's probably not the prettiest. And then we're going to say meal name. And then we're going to say meal ingredients. Well, I don't know. I don't know if we should say meal name or meal ingredients. Let's just say meal. And then let's put index. And so what it does is it returns current state. Okay, so sum operation. On current state. To add meal into state. Into current state. Okay, why don't you like this? Index is defined, never used. Okay. Well, you know what, ESLint? I'm doing more things. I'm doing things you cannot even imagine. Okay, so if we're gonna make it like this, actually, it's current. It's store to change. Ha 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 ha. Okay, and then store to change. Okay, that makes much more sense. I like this. I mean, I don't know. There's something about there's something a writer, that said, which is the fact that like cheating, we cheat all the time. We repeat ourselves. We crib from other writers. I think sometimes it's important to know when to copy and paste from Stack Overflow. I don't know if there is such a time to copy and paste from Stack Overflow, or whether you should never do it. But I think it's important to I think it's important to think about that. It's like, when is it important to make it your own, and yet also to do the same thing? Like, because right now I'm learning this pattern, and I'm learning this pattern from somebody else. I mean, it's not like I'm creating it all on my own. And the funny thing is I can probably actually like copy most of his structure, because I'm doing an array called meals in the store. So since I'm doing an array called meals anyway, I think it's important to like do that, and then do that, and then click save, and great, awesome. At this point, it's really a question of like applying. I mean, his to-do logic doesn't necessarily make sense for me. You know, because what we're doing is we're taking a name ingredient. Essentially, we're adding a meal to the state. Okay, so let's... Okay, we're not going to worry about index right now. And we should probably export store. I don't know if we actually need to export store. Okay, so let's go to our testing code real quick. And equals add to state. And then, okay, so let's create a data object. Const apple core equals what are we passing in here? So we're changing the state. And so all right, let's just take a basic meal structure. And let's copy one of our basic meal structures. Okay, where am I going? All right. Copying is the best. Though, really, it would be nice if I, like... I'm kind of tempted to be honest, I'm kind of tempted to make this, like... I'm not sure if, like, well, okay, so here's the deal. It may be good to... I kind of wonder whether or not breaking this out makes sense. Okay, let me check my chat, bring up my chat real quick. See if anybody's chatted at me and see if it's going to yell at me. Well, not yell, but read things out to me in a way that means that I can't talk. I mean, mind you, I like the idea of it reading out to me. I just don't like it reading out to me. All the chats that have happened since forever ago. Okay. We're going to leave that alone. I think Twitterbot is going to... I think the Twitterbot will kind of let me go. And do random notifications or whatever. Okay. My god, that's not what I intended to do. Alright. Check my OBS. Wow, my dropped frames are really high. I'm a little worried, to be quite honest. Anyway. Whoa. Okay. So I kind of wonder whether or not I should refactor and eventually like break this out. But I think let's save that choice for another day. Okay, so apple result equals add to state apple core. And I'm not sure if that's the naming convention I should be using, but I definitely think it's like a naming convention that could be useful. Okay, so this should contain macaroni. And it failed. Okay, and it failed not because it, not because it returned an object. Add decor.meals. Okay, let's see if that works. Okay. And let's go with .name. Oh, that didn't go well. .meals.name. Okay. So I think what we need to do is we need to figure out how to test an object. Because right now, we're getting back what I expect, but we're getting back an expected object, I think. But let's console log Apple result and make sure we know what we're getting. Okay, we're getting meals and then an array. Okay, we're getting what we expect, pretty much. So let's open up my new favorite friend, Velocity. And let's see if I have Jest installed, and see if we can use this to look up some of the Jest documentation about testing objects. Look, I have not added or I have not downloaded Jest. Let's see if it has Jest. Probably does. Guess what? I don't see Jest. So does MongoDB and Mongoose and Chai, but no Jest. Well then, I'm just gonna have to go, oh my god, this is kind of ridiculous. Okay, user contributed. Let's go with Jest. Aha. Okay. Okay. I don't want to get started. I want to look up API. No. Okay. Manual mocks, testing other frameworks. I want to test objects. Okay, let's search using here. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Okay. So let's see here. Okay, so what we can do is apple result to equal apple core. And we have a passing test. Great. Okay, and seeing as how the function doesn't necessarily do anything, I think that that's like it's good that we could like figure out how to get a passing test like out of that. And then what we need to do is we need to write our failing test and then figure out what it should do. Okay, so so let's look at what has changed. Well, okay, let's do this. Right. Roughing out the add to state function. All right, perfect. Nothing here. Let's turn on our narration, shall we? Okay, great. And now, maybe it's going to maybe it's going to do the thing, or it's not going to. I don't think it's going to read all the chats. Sweet. Okay. Perfecto. Let's refresh. Nope. All right. So, what are we doing here? So this is client.js working tree. We don't care. This is client. Okay, great. Ooh. Okay. The next thing, we should probably add a thing for npm run build npm run build dash 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 watch. That way we have it incorporated in Webpack. Great. Because I have to remember to do that. It would be nice if VS Code did that automatically. Okay, next thing. I need... So, now is the time to write the test. Okay, so let's do this. Since this is all in one file, I'm not sure if I need to export store. Okay, so this is where we get to the point where we need to look at our thing again. So let's go to the right, and then... So he doesn't import store in the function. Let's find an example of add to do. He passes in state up here in the thing. So whenever he calls it, he passes it in. He doesn't care about what it looks like otherwise. Okay, so what he does is he creates his own to-do, and then blah, 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 and then goes to the array and splices it with the to-do. So let's follow that. Const new meal, meal to add, equals meal. Okay. And then from here, and this is just going to be the really, really simple thing. So what we're going to say is store to change, our cheap knockup version of state to change, dot meals, dot splice. Yes, I am copying, but it's damn good. Index 0 to do. To do. Why am I saying to do? It shouldn't be to do. Okay. I mean, I think the index, well, actually, let's just push it for now. I mean, I think that I mean, it may be dragging it out to like do that, but I think pushing it and then testing it, I think, is important. Okay, so dot push. And then we go to meal to add. And hopefully I did that right. Go to our thing. And let's change our data. And this is why in some ways it doesn't make sense to have the same data. If that makes sense. You know, because this way we can like go, okay. So it is a apple core is an array. And this is where to contain may make more sense. Cannot read property push of undefined. Okay. So let's look up dot push. Let's look up JavaScript. No, I just started using. JavaScript. Methods. Push. Wow, there's a lot of pushes. Maybe it's under array. Array prototype push. Perfect. Animals dot push cows. Okay. Wait. I'm ridiculous. My data is malformed. Okay. My apple core. Okay. It does not need to be an array. This is why this is useful. Because it gets you really clear as to what's going on. Wait. Oh. This only works with the assumed store structure. So we have to mock out our store in order to test this correctly. Okay, so either that or we use this store, which seems kind of dangerous, to be honest. Okay. Okay. So we're gonna say Apple Store. And we're going to say oh wow. Okay. We're getting somewhere. Okay, and it's no longer going to equal apple core because our test no longer works. Which is kind of how it should be. Of course, I'm kind of thinking I'm doing this backwards. Okay. And okay, so let's search again. Okay, so let's do object containing. Object containing. I guess because apple core is an array. So I need to figure out how to test this damn thing. I think it's time for me to take a break. Alright, so I will be back in a little bit. Thank you. Okay, I'm back. So I think I'm going about this the wrong way. At least in regards to this. Let's make sure that we're still failing. Okay, so we've got an object that is meals. So let's create our result. Shall we? Const apple expected equals and then we'll go meals and then we'll put an array here. And we'll copy this and put this inside the array. And then we'll do this. We'll do that to make ESLint happy. Apple results to contain apple expected. Okay. Object containing is not a function. So let's say 2 equal. To contain okay. And it passes. Voila. And we have a whole lot of apples. I'm not sure if that's actually something that we should be proud of. I'm not sure if I like my apple thing. I don't know why I'm keep calling this up, so I'm going to close it. Okay, and we managed to mock the store and to not modify it or do anything with it. Because honestly, to test the thing, we don't really care about what it does right now. The only other thing that we need to do is we have it as a push, and not... We have it as a push and not as a... we have it as a push and not as a slice. We'll eventually need to make it as a slice, but I think for now we'll do. I think that's really good. And I think the handle about TDD is not necessarily is to think about what your output should be and then really like dig deep into that. And okay, so let's do this. Oh man, I'm sleepy today. It's funny, you'll notice as I go along in the week, I'll yawn more. It's kind of funny. Okay, so what are we calling this commit? First passing test of adding store. Adding to store function. Okay, and we're done with that. And technically it's adding to state, but I mean, I'm not going to worry about it right now. Okay. keyword apple. I don't know if I should actually do that, so let's not. Let's do it and say we did. Whatever. Okay, so let's remove this, and then put this to the right again, and then put this to the left. Buy a license. You know, I really like velocity, but I don't like it enough yet. I'm kind of looking forward to doing this. Okay, here's our thingy. And I like looking at the raw data, or the raw thing, just to kind of get a better sense of what it looks like. Okay, so let's go with our tests here. Okay, so let's go with, let's modify it to, okay, so let's do this. If index, let's shamelessly borrow his code, equals undefined, and then from here we'll do slice, and then we'll say index 0. Okay, and our thing is failing. Oh, he's doing splice, not slice. Okay, let's see what our test pass. No param reassign. I don't know what to tell you about the ESLint. Okay. So let's go to our bash. And from here, let's go to git add dist okay. Okay. What shall our commit message say, Sean? Shamelessly, shameless copied without shame from the logic of Maxime's state management app. For adding state into array. Now, I mean, the only other thing I can think of is that, I mean, a push would work. Probably just as well, I think. Would it? I'm going to say no. Because what if you wanted to... I mean, this gives you the control of the index. And I guess that might be useful later. It made sense for his project because he was doing before or after. If we wanted to maintain some sort of grouping, I think it would make sense. I think it gives some extensibility, but it may be more overly complex than it needs to be. So we're going to say yes, and then not worry about it. Into store array. Into store. Okay. Let's try pushing and see if it asks for a thing. It does. So we're going to ignore that right now. Okay. And I don't necessarily know if we absolutely need this, but, you know, I think it could be useful. If index is undefined, I equals 0. No. It needs to be indexed if we're going to do it. Alright. So we don't absolutely need... Dope. It is so much faster to do this with a larger project. It's kind of fascinating how slight formatting refactor of the add to state function. Okay. And ESLint can go... Alright, we need to figure out how we're sending the meals to API. And we need to figure out how to implement this in our render. Alright. Okay, so what I'm looking for, I don't know if this has an API thing. Okay, so let's try writing the test for this thing first. Okay, so we're going to write this test for the sendmail2db API. Okay, so right now we're using berries as our thing, because berries are amazing. Though I guess I could, start using different names of things, but I guess fruit makes sense. Because maybe you want to put your blackberry into your apple. Okay, so what it needs to do is it needs to push over into the API somehow. And part of this is going to be like the interface, sort of thing. Okay, and then so so this is I wonder if it's, let's go back in here. Actually, no, it's here. Great. Okay, so it's actually really, really simple. Saving and restoring state, deleting to-dos, and then perfect. Okay. What is it saved? Okay. Const berry data equals, we're going to take in a meal, and we should probably eventually figure out unique meals so that we're testing based upon different data, maybe. I mean, I don't know. Yeah, that looks good. Constant berry data equals, and then this should take in berry data. Okay, and then this should have a separate line. There should be a separate line. And so let's not worry about the to be falsy. But we will want to rewrite that. Okay. So does it dot push? What does it do? I guess the biggest question is, I think we're going to have to say expected. I think we're going to have an expected. Okay, so let's do berry data and then berry expected. Equals, and then we're going to have to figure out what else it does. Alright, and then let's put very expected in here, and let's put a to contain. And of course it's probably going to fail, which is kind of frankly expected because it returned something poor. Okay, so let's go look at our we might have to open up our thing. Let's look at our API.js real quick. Okay, so look at our CooperDB. CooperDB has all this amazing data, which probably it shouldn't have. Let's comment that out and make it into an empty array. So we're going to expect it to be an array with, so it's actually very, very similar to this. Very expected is going to be an array that contains these different ones. What's skipping? Okay, let me maximize this real quick. Okay, well, I'm not going to worry about it right now. I'm just going to be like, blah. Okay, we're going to say to contain, and then yeah, so let's leave it at that. Either that or we do a to equal, but I think we should do it as to contain. Let's go back to our client, and let's see if we can make this pass. Okay. ESLint is amusing. ESLint can go away. All right, first it needs to take in meal to add. And then let's have it just have it return meal to add. And let's see how that works. Oh, it wants me to update. And ooh, it failed. And looks like my test should have passed, except for the fact that I'm not using the right thing. Let's update npm I-g npm. And honestly, I feel like I've done this before. Okay. So let's open up another, sorry, get bash. No, go away. npm --v. Great. Okay. You don't seem to have crashed. You're fine. Okay. So npm test -- watch. Could spell watch. That would be good. Okay. One failed. Let's go with... Okay, so I'm thinking that we need a 2 equal. Wait. Expect dot array containing. Oh, okay. Let's just use a dot 2 equal. Let's see what happens. I mean, the other thing that we do is we can... I mean, we can just say macaroni since it's an array, probably. Oh! Expected array, but received an object. Oh, because it's just returning it. And because data is this. Okay. Perfect. I love failing tests. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to add a store. Okay. I don't know how this is going to work exactly. I feel like it should push out. Okay, let's do this. Let's go to API.js. Okay. So we have two options. We can add it to DB by calling adding meal to DB. Because it's a promise, we need to figure out how we're going to do this. Okay, let's just return this and see what we get. And I know I retyped it because I like wasting everybody's time. Okay, adding meal to DB is not a function. Great. Let's go with... And here's where I'm not sure if this is where it should be. Because this may be testing more the API thing. Yeah. Okay, so I think this is going to be a big question. I mean, it's got to, I think, but I'm not sure if this is where the test belongs. I mean, it is in the client, so... Okay, let's do it, and then maybe we'll regret it later. Adding meal to DB. Equals require. Okay. I'm really confused. Okay. Oh, because I don't export it. Great. Okay, we received an empty object because it's a promise. Okay, so let's figure out how to test promises. And actually, I don't know why I did all that. I'm just like, let's commit. Okay, let's unstage you, unstage you. Okay. Okay. Promise.resolve. Okay. All right. This sounds a lot more complicated and maybe should be in the API. I'm not really sure because you're getting an empty promise, and as far as I know, it should be fine. Okay. Well, I'm definitely going to have some questions about this. So I'm going to stop streaming for now. Let's commit this. API to DB. Test is failing and needs promise integration. It needs promise integration. Okay. And so from here, let me switch over to regular video. And thank you for joining me. I'm Delia Codes, and this is my stream. We did quite a bit today. We created some passing tests. My first TDD, really TDD-ish. Yeah, I did it. Anyway, I hope you had fun watching, and I hope you have a great day. Thank you.